In 1984, Jeep introduced the XJ Cherokee.
Move out of the ordinary. Move into four-wheel drive with the rugged all-new Jeep Cherokee and the luxurious Jeep Wagoneer.
This was the first unibody Jeep ever, and as you can imagine, it was met with a ton of skepticism from current Jeep owners. I mean, who could imagine Jeep owners getting worked up about a new model that doesn't have the exact same features and appearance as the current model they already have? That sounds crazy. Who needs progress? Anyway, I'm preaching to the choir. You already know the XJ story. They basically started the SUV movement in the United States and were extremely popular with families looking for a capable off-road vehicle that wasn't as big as the Wagoneer, as heavy as the Wagoneer, or as weird as the Wagoneer, but could still go off-road and fit cargo, like groceries and soccer balls. I've personally been in love with the Cherokee forever. While other kids were reading comic books and the magazines they found in their dad's dresser, I was begging my parents to take me to the Jeep dealership, just so I could pick up the new Jeep catalog. You remember that 1994 red Cherokee Sport with the 10-hole gamblers? Yeah, that picture was up in my locker, right next to a British racing green Mazda Miata. I was a really weird kid. Sadly, Jeep killed the XJ in 2001 to make room for the more modern Liberty, and that was that. Well, that was that, except for the fact that since 2001, Jeep hasn't made a vehicle as light as the Cherokee with a solid front axle, or a Jeep with that perfect 101-inch wheelbase that we all strive for, you know, to wheel with. Since 2001, the acceptance in the aftermarket of the Cherokee has soared. Four-wheeler called them the disposable hero, and that's pretty much true. People have been building them up, beating them to within an inch of their lives, and then moving all the parts to a brand new Cherokee they found in their grandma's garage. So that said, the styling of the Cherokee and the technology underneath is definitely getting a little dated. So we at JcrOffroad, we thought, you know, what can we do to modernize the Cherokee? Well, we came up with a solution. Introducing Project RealHawk. When we laid out the build plan for Project RealHawk, we knew right away that we wanted wider, stronger axles. So we picked up a low-mileage set of JK Rubicon axles. We kept the factory lockers but stuffed in a set of 488 gears from Motive Gear. In the front we're running RCV shafts, and in the rear we're running 10 factory shafts. For suspension we're running a BDS 4.5-inch long arm with their shocks. Up front we have a TerraFlex tie rod with a factory JK drag link, and then JKS sway bar disconnects. Once the suspension got nice and soft, we added TerraFlex speed bumps all around. The exhaust escapes through a full MagnaFlow catback, and yes, we know this Jeep is beat up underneath because we actually use it. Brian from Azzy's Design Works set us up with some custom gauges, and yes, the RealHawk logo lights up when you throw it in four-wheel drive. We're crawling a little slower thanks to a TerraFlex 4-to-1 kit, and we're also running their HD SYE. To top it off, of course we're running Adams drive shafts front and rear. Up front we're running our Vanguard winch bumper with a worn Xeon 8S and a little Factor 55 bling to polish it off. To fit these 35-inch Toyo RTs with only 4 inches of lift, we're running Notch Custom fender flares. To keep the rocks out of the doors, we have our classic sliders. In the rear, we have our upper and lower quarter panel armor, our Vanguard full width rear, plus our Adventure tire carrier. On top of that, we have a 2-gallon water and a 2-gallon gasoline Rotopax can, plus a high lift jack for any sticky situation. Truck light LED headlights, inspired 3x3 cubes, and an inspired 50-inch light bar turn any dark trail into daytime. Up top, we have our Adventure roof rack so we can bring everything and the kitchen sink, plus it makes a great spot to mount more LEDs. Light up all of the things. Speaking of LEDs, a Prime 4x4 switch panel keeps the controls right at our fingertips, and an Odyssey battery means we never have to worry about losing power. Like I said before, we built this Jeep as kind of the modern interpretation of the Cherokee platform. We really wanted to see what the XJ was capable of. And you know, there's certainly more crazy trail-capable Cherokees out there in the world, but our goal with this was to build a driver and a wheeler. And I think we did a great job of that. This thing is as comfortable cruising down the highway at 70 miles an hour as it is out in Moab on the rocks. What would I change about this Jeep? You know, at this point, not really much. The interior is a little dated, so I think we could definitely change the seats out, or maybe just run some seat covers. That would probably help quite a bit. And the headliner's starting to sag a little bit, and I think we need to address that. But you know, besides those tiny little maintenance items, I wouldn't really change anything. The drivetrain is great. I'm really happy with the strength of it, you know. All the JCR armor and bumpers are doing what they're supposed to. So, you know, short of just tightening all the bolts up after that Moab trip, we didn't really have any problems. And we just jump in it, we drive it, we take it anywhere in the country we want, and we know it's just going to work. And that's really what this platform is great for. It's what that motor is great for. Oh, look, a Wrangler. No way. Of course not. So I'm not sure why it has to be JK versus Cherokee or Wrangler versus Cherokee, and it's been that way as long as I can remember. You know, I love JKs, don't get me wrong. My wife has a JK, we've got a ton of JKs at the shop. Crusader is one of my favorite Jeeps ever, but I drive a Cherokee, and it's because it fits my lifestyle really well. I always have bike gear and stuff, and all I have to do is toss it in the back and just never worry about it, which is nice. I have a roof rack on mine, I can throw whatever on that rack, I can throw bikes out back, we can go on a weekend trip and, you know, just not think about, oh, should we put the roof on, blah, blah, blah. Plus, I'm cheap, and building a Cherokee, it's like the budget wheeler, you know? What I've got in my Cherokee on 35s is like a third of what it would cost me to put a JK on 35s. But the good news is Jeep came out with the Renegade, and I think that we can all rally against how ridiculous that is. Well, actually, no, I'd probably drive one of those as well. Well, that's it, guys. That's all I got. You know, thank you. This was one of the most requested overview videos we've had so far. And, you know, thanks for loving this Jeep, because this is not a new vehicle. This vehicle is 15 years old, and people are still really excited about it. If you have any comments about this Jeep or questions, just leave a post below, and I hope to see you out on the trail. Talk to you later.